Welcome to April's Garage. $2.5 million worth of cars were stolen in Arizona, and I thought we were driving one of them when we were out there.
This is one of the craziest, like, gone in 60 seconds kind of sort of.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's like a movie, but it's real.
Right.
So, I rent cars on Turo all the time to make videos, do something interesting. We did it with the Ferrari California in California. And then when we were in Arizona, we were buying our house. We rented the Wraith, and it was on Turo. We rented it. So when I saw this article and the headline showed a Rolls-Royce and a list of 29 cars that were stolen and put on Turo, I thought, oh my God, have we rented a stolen car? And we're driving around Arizona in a stolen car. Turns out it wasn't. This is one of the legit ones, but it was definitely on Turo. When I was thumbing through, these cars look familiar because I'm there figuring out things we're going to rent to make videos. And I definitely remember seeing some of these cars on there because, you know, there's not many Rolls-Royce Ghosts being rented on Turo. So that was on there. A red C8 Corvette was in this list. G-Wagons, Denali's, Escalades, an Aston Martin DBX as well in brown. And I definitely remember seeing that one.
Really?
I definitely remember that and thinking, like, that would be an interesting video because they're depreciating so much. All these cars stolen.
Right.
And they had a connection with the Arizona DMV somehow, some shady connection, where they were able to register these cars legally as rentals.
Well, they fudged with the VIN number, which I don't know how you can do that because I feel like there's so many stops in place to prevent people from messing with them.
They still had to have titles. Somehow they got titles. Somehow they got them registered. I guess if they were creating fake rental contracts, but they would still need a title to register it and have a plate. And it's so... It's just
bizarre.
It's nuts.
They're all in jail right now. Can you imagine if we were driving that and we got pulled over? And when there's a stolen car, there's probably like 5-10 cop cars that are going to pull you over, and we're like, "What's going on? We didn't steal it. Like we would have been arrested or something crazy happening."
But it's under Turo, very popular app, and it's very interesting. You know, the three. So they say in the article they arrested Ali Hamad, 29, Delia Roja, 32, and Mario Rodriguez, 33. So all young people. They're in Glendale, and they have ties to the Middle East and to Mexico. But I mean, it just shows the only way to make money in the rental business is to, I guess, get the cars for free. So you gotta steal them because, you know, Ed Bullion did the exotic rental thing for many years and abandoned it. Yes, that was one of his right out in college. He's like a 20-year-old in college buying his first exotic car.
I feel like every college guy dreams of going to Las Vegas and doing that very thing.
Well, he was doing it in Atlanta while he was in college at Georgia Tech. And on his wedding day, he tells the story on VinWiki, his car was stolen on his wedding day.
No.
Yes. So he's in the middle,
what kind of car?
one of his exotic Ferrari, Lamborghini, something like that. So he's in the middle of trying to get his car back. You know, it's stolen, there's a tracker on it, he knows where it's going. It's a crazy story on VinWiki. At the same time, he's getting married. Because, I mean, at that point, losing one car would collapse his business.
Sure, of course.
So he hates the business. I know Houston Crosta, Royalty Exotics, he recently got out of the rental business entirely because he thought there was a ceiling with it, and it's just too much pain for not enough money. And he was the biggest exotic rental in Las Vegas. So he's gotten out and done a completely different business now. It is a really tough thing to make money on, unless you steal them, apparently. But we'll see how long, you know, they're in jail.
Yeah, and I do have to say Turo was completely cooperative with everyone, with the police, and there's nothing shady going on with them. It was just this three-ring circus, so to speak, of these guys stealing these cars. But that's pretty scary. Well, and speaking of going to jail, if you're in Florida, you are in for it. There's new speeding laws. If you're going over 50 miles an hour over the speed limit, you could go to jail, which I feel like you should.
Up to 90 days.
Up to 90 days and a $500 fine. But here's the thing. There's a lot of people in Florida that are upset about this, which is, are you agreeing? Or they're saying it's going to clog up the court systems because there's so many people that speed in Florida. I don't know. I don't live in Florida.
Going 80 and a 30 in a town is very dangerous, but there's a lot of Ed Bullions out there when they're on a Florida highway in the middle of nowhere, and you know, it's 70, 75, and they go 125, 130.
So now they're going to get you if you're even at 100. they're going to get you, and you can serve jail time for that, even for your first offense.
I think Ed Bullion's favorite pastime is to do the cannonball basically from his house in Atlanta down to Miami to visit his family, friends, and all that stuff, and back up. So now he's going to have to think twice. Although, if he was jailed for 90 days, I imagine there would be a huge movement of free Ed and all this stuff, and people would very much enjoy it.
Can you imagine him in jail? He'd be so proper in his fancy suits and everything.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
Well, would they let him wear his colored loafers in prison? You know,
the red ones. They have
exactly.
To.
Yeah. He was in Kansas for car trek and wore red slippers, which
on
is
your tractor.
I know. It's so goofy.
Which is my favorite picture.
But
it starts July 1st, so be careful if you're in Florida driving fast, because you could go to jail.
50 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Yeah.
But I get what they're saying, because then they have to, I mean, is it something where a cop still has discretion? And that's the thing, where a cop currently, you know, a cop pulls you over, you were going this, but I'm going to lower the speed to this.
And then you like wink at them, well, give them a little, hey, I'm Tyler Hoover.
You get off on every single ticket for obvious reasons.
No,
for obvious
reasons.
Well, I mean, not when you were younger, but I mean, now you get out. You got pulled over in my van.
I did.
Got
pulled over in your dad van, and they did let me go.
Usually cops give a bit of leeway, and they say, hey, you know, I'll give you a break on the speed a little bit or whatever.
If you're a jerk right away, they don't. But if you're like, why'd you pull me over? And you kind of cause a scene. But like, I feel like the best way to talk to the police when you get pulled over is to just come right out with it. Admit right away what you were doing, that goes a long way.
That is not what Ed Bullion says to do, because Ed Bullion gets pulled over once a month, and he has a totally different strategy.
No,
once again, you can watch his video on how to get out of a speeding ticket, but it's basically like making small talk with a cop. You know, it's like, oh, it's a beautiful day, and how are you know, and asking him certain questions that indicate that you know what police officers are all about and all that stuff, to where you're like, I'm one of you, I'm with the police, you know, not really like a police officer, but supported of police officers.
Right.
But do cops have the discretion now?
Right.
Or are they forced, like, hey, I had this on radar or laser or, you know, whatever, and I have to give you the ticket or arrest you? Or are they allowed to have discretion and be like, I mean, he's out in the middle of nowhere, he's not really hurting anybody, I can lower the speed where I don't have to drag this guy to jail. But if it's like a DUI, where obviously they don't let people have discretions with DUI like they did back in the day, where it's like, oh, you're just drunk, you know, find somebody to pick you up and bring you home, and all, they completely shut that down now. So if they do it with speed, then there will be a lot of people in jail, a lot of people going through courts, a lot of cars getting impounded, and I definitely see what they mean.
Going 50 miles an hour over the speed limit, you think?
I see what they mean, and it is dangerous, but they could focus on much more dangerous people and things than speeders.
Yeah.
I
get it.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from.
So as of July 1st, Ed should have his own little nameplate there in the jail cell, because he might be spending some time.
You gotta be careful in Florida.
Yeah,
there's already some very harsh states. I know, like Virginia is one, I think, where you don't want to get pulled over for speeding because there's something like this, but it's way stricter.
Yeah.
Arkansas is another one where you don't want to get pulled over going way, way, way over the speed limit, because they're very harsh jail time type laws for, I don't think 50 over, but something like that.
Sure. So the fine is, first time, $500 and up to, what did we say, 90 days in jail. Second round, if you get hit again with that speeding ticket, it is $1,000.
Jeez.
And speaking of fines, Tesla is getting fined in France $58,000 per day for deceptive marketing
Did Elon make fun of French people? Did he post something about French people?
No, deceptive marketing practices.
Did he say Emmanuel Macron was in the Epstein files or something? Or what did he?
No, they're in trouble because they're marketing the Tesla's autopilot system as full self-driving, which it is not. You have to be clearly paying attention.
You have to have hands on the wheel. You have to be looking ahead. There's sensors to see, make sure that you're looking and holding the wheel and paying attention. So it's not like you can take a nap or watch a movie or lay down in the back seat. You have to be an active participant in driving. And so France doesn't like it being called full self-driving.
Which I understand, because if someone gets in the car and it says, like, that's the directions, is full self-driving, so it should be full self-driving.
Because GM just calls it Super Cruise. It's like very, okay, yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
Super Cruise, man.
No promises.
So I guess, France is looking for some money. I don't know.
Cracking down.
That's weird.
Actually, Germany did the same thing back in 2022, had a lawsuit for this exact same thing, and now France is following suit.
So will Elon pay $58,000 a day? to France. Will he just refuse to pay, quit selling cars in France, or will he change the name? Will he change the name of full self-driving in Europe and call it something else?
Yeah, I think he should call it something else.
Freedom, instead of like French fries, calling them freedom fries. Remember when everybody was mad at France back in the day and French fries became freedom fries? Maybe that's what he'll call it, is freedom driving.
Freedom driving. Actually, that kind of sounds good, because you're free to move about the cabin.
No, you're not.
Actually, you're not. You're right. Dang it. Thanks so much for watching.